the main focus today will be on three different directions. First of all, we would like to talk about the current refugee crisis and its possible impact on the Schengen dilemma, the Schengen space, and on the free movement right. Second of all, we would like to talk about the workers' rights across EU, because we think this is also a very, very important issue that interests all European citizens, especially during these times. And third of all, we would like to talk about the access to information about European rights and the access to assistance services that European citizens have available when it comes to discrimination on this kind of rights. The debate that we are organizing today is part of a larger project. We are going to have 8 European conferences as well. This is the second one that takes place. The first one happened in Sofia, Bulgaria this summer. The project that we are organizing this conference in is called EU Impact, from citizens' involvement to policy impact, because what we want to do through this kind of debates, policy debates and conferences, is that we want to bring the citizens closer to the public institutions and public actors, both at the national level and European level. We want to create a space for active dialogue so that people's opinions, citizens' opinions, can influence the policies that are decided in Brussels and in their countries. So we have 8 partners in the project. The project is led by Pro-Info Bulgaria, and we also have a partner from Albania. Why did we want to talk about this refugee crisis and Schengen dilemma and workers' rights, especially today? That is because we strongly believe European citizens' rights, especially in Romania, are not so well known, even though we are a member since 2007. And NACAB Romania is trying to do a lot of information campaigns, and it's having a lot of initiatives, especially at the local level, so that the people that are European citizens should get to know more that they really are European citizens, and what that means, and what rights do they have, and what means do they have to influence the policies in Brussels. What's also interesting about our approach, especially in this project and especially in this debate, is that we are trying to promote the new social media tools. We believe very, very much that they do have an impact, and they do have the means to increase citizens' participation across EU. And we have seen lately that both the European Parliament, the European Commission, all the European institutions are using more and more this. They have a lot of projects and initiatives trying to get closer to the citizens, trying to bridge the gap, because lately everybody started to see that there is a huge gap between what happens in Brussels and what happens at national and local level. And I do believe right now we can go online with Petko. Petko?
Glad to be with you on this initiative. It's a very topical situation. It's a very topical question, one that we want to discuss right now. And it is very closely related to the initiative of EU Impact, which is influencing European policy decisions through active involvement of European citizens. But also it comes at a time when we have to address a very serious situation that the European Union is facing with the refugee crisis, with the influx of people coming from the southern Mediterranean countries, with the apparent inability of the European solution, the European countries and the European Union to find a common solution to the refugee crisis. So what we suggest as members of this EU Impact group of organizations is to foster active citizen involvement in looking for viable solutions to this. It concerns all the European citizens, It concerns all the citizens of the candidate countries. It brings all the countries. So what we will be looking for is common solutions in these three areas. How to relate the policy area of freedom of movement with the policy towards refugees, with the asylum issues that we are facing. And above all, the question that is of very high importance to us is that solidarity and freedom should be served by security. Security should not come at the expense of freedom and solidarity. And we are launching this initiative today to address the members of European Parliament and the relevant European institutions to open their doors, open their minds for what the European citizens have to say. I'm seeing some very desperate signs here on the screen from technical organizers of the event, so I need a sign to see that you can hear me. Otherwise, I will just continue. Okay, good, great. I'm continuing then. The initiative addresses several policy areas. We want citizen involvement when discussing freedom of movement. We want European citizen involvement when discussing policy toward the neighborhood. And we want to be involved in consultation when we are discussing the refugee crisis, the solution of the refugee crisis. We don't pretend we know the solutions, but just we don't want to leave finding these solutions to the institutions without active citizen involvement. So, basically, as of today, this initiative is already on the project's website. We are sharing this initiative with all the project partners, but also with us in our countries. We are sharing with organizations that are involved in issues related to the freedom of movement. And we are expecting that we'll have enough critical mass and we'll have enough opportunities to talk to the institutions and get citizens' voices heard. So I'm very glad that this is such a good opportunity for me, the conference in Bucharest, to announce the beginning of this, the launch of this event. And I'm looking forward to everyone's participation in it.
Petko is talking about the solidarity that we need to show in front of the refugee crisis. And the campaign that we are going to launch today is about people's involvement. As I was telling you in the beginning, it is about people's involvement in the decision-making process when it comes to these topics: refugee crisis and Schengen dilemma. Within the project and together with a lot of other civil society organization representatives across the European Union, we will send letters to our European deputies and to all the decision makers, asking them to stand tall when it comes to these two problems that we were talking about, and show solidarity and a common approach when it comes to these two issues. Now we have Asia Kavrakova. She's the executive director of ECAS. They are a very old NGO in Brussels that are working a lot with citizen initiatives, and are trying to bridge the gaps between Brussels, the Parliament, the European institutions, the civil society, and the citizens. We have a very long partnerships with them, and we are so happy to welcome in our debate, to welcome them in our debate. Asia can tell us what she thinks about the Schengen dilemma and what the European Union should do in this regards. So if we are good to go, I think Asia can join us. Good morning, Asia. How are you? Thanks for joining.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Brussels. Maybe for those that do not really know what it is, we are a European association, and we need our citizens how to exercise their rights. So therefore, we are very, very happy to participate together with all the other partners in the project of EU Impact. Indeed, today's debate is very, very important and important for us. We are witnessing a crisis here which scale is really massive. This is something which is really putting a great challenge for all of us, the not-for-profit organizations as well as the European institutions. One thing, however, is very important, especially for an organization like ours, which has interest of the citizens as its core value. We believe that we have now the objective and the obligation to safeguard more than ever the fundamental values of the European Union and the principles and the rights on which it's built. We are witnessing recently that more and more borders are built between us, between our countries, between our citizens. We really hope that this will be a very temporary measure, because otherwise we will be looking forward to a future which actually is very different from what we have imagined as the European Union, the one that we want from a citizen's perspective.
Just before we get to start the live transmission on Adevărul platform, together with Ion Meioniță, Andrei Țărnea, Oana Popescu that will join us from Germany, and Ana Maria Oteanu, we would like to show you what Sven Irmer, he is the Chief Director of Konrad Adenauer Stiftung office in Romania and Republic of Moldova. He talked with us about this questions that we are having today. What should we do about Schengen? What should we do about refugee quotas? What should we do with the borders? And he is answering all of our questions. His message is going to be available on the screen quite very soon. Just let us know when we can see it.
Hello, my name is Sven Irmer. I'm the director of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation now for 3 years and responsible for Romania and Moldova. The Adenauer Foundation is here on the ground like for now 16 years, and we are dealing with the civil society and helping to build up a civil society, talking about Europe, helping young people to find their way in Europe. And of course, we are dealing with political parties here, so all the EPP member parties in Romania. This is what we're basically doing here.
Okay, so since we are here also because of the mission of the KAS Foundation, the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung. And since you're so supportive in regards to the European Union, we are quite interested to find out which Euro right or principle do you think is the one without which the concept of European citizenship could not live without?
I think the most important is like the free movement of people. I think that is what we're fighting for the last years so hard, and from my point of view, and we might talk about it later, it's not regarding Schengen or not. I think it's a principle right that people can live in Europe wherever they want, where they like to work, if they have the possibility to work there or find a good job. This is something very important, and the founding fathers, I think, fight for this right a lot, and now we have it and we should protect it.
So you definitely think that the right to free movement is one of the most basic European rights, European citizenship rights?
I think it's very important, and because like we had so many borders the last centuries, and to overcome these borders, that there's Germany and France and others, and I say I don't have to show my passport anymore. I can move there. Also the movement of free goods, but it's also like that people can participate in how Europe is structured, that they can ask questions, that things are transparent. I think this is also something very important we have to keep the focus on.
Well, definitely we also think that the freedom of movement in the European Union is standing as basis for the unity and diversity slogan, let's say, of the EU. In this respect, how do you think the member states can have a concerted approach when it comes to the solutions to the current refugee crisis that the EU is facing? Because, of course, this crisis is strongly linked to this European citizen right to free movement.
I think, first of all, what we see now in the moment is something unique, and half a year nobody knows that this mass numbers of people will come to Europe. And of course, the fact that they're going to Germany is bringing, or that most people want to go to Germany, some want to go to Sweden. I'm really surprised that so little number wants to stay in Austria or in Greece or in Italy. We have to keep an eye on that it's not like only a German problem, as some politicians said. It's not a German problem. I think the refugee question is a question of Europe. If this will unite us more, or this will help to bring a crack into the European Union and the values we are talking about. And we, as Germans, and the discussion what is going on in Germany, of course refugees are welcome. Of course people, if they ask for asylum, they get asylum. But what we cannot do is keep people because they come only for economic reasons. The member states, even in Europe, I'm not talking about the European Union, in Europe, like the former Balkan states, they have to do their job. People are leaving there because of the catastrophe in the economic, in the fight against corruption, in the missing development of the rule of law in their country. So we have to look on that, and we will see in the future if there will be a quota in Europe regarding the refugees. But I think we all together have to find a solution. And what I saw yesterday, unfortunately, in the conference there for the Minister of Interior in Brussels, this was not the step I really hoped for. And just to leave Germany alone with 1 million refugees, what we have already now, it's a risk for the society. But in the moment, I think the Germans show that they really can do their best and fight for it.
In regards to these questions, I suppose that what you meant earlier was that we need to look rather at the cause of the migration than at the effects. So we should treat the source of the problem rather than treat the effects. But in this respect, I was also wondering, why do you think that so many refugees are keen to go into Germany? Why do you think is this their choice, their first choice?
I think it's a certain image Germany created. So we have welcome culture, even when we have discussion in Germany if we still have it or if we could create it. But I think for the people who are coming from abroad, from Syria and other states, because it's not only people from Syria, we have the image that everything is fine in Germany, that people take care about, and it's what we are doing and try to do with the refugees. But it could not be misused by people who come for various reasons. And I have to mention again the economic reasons. This could not be the reason somebody is getting asylum, and we have to work on that they are sent back. And the people who really have the right and are political refugees, we have to keep them and to take care of them. And the next step is how we integrate them in the German society. So Germany has a good image. Yes, but we have to care about that the image will continue and that the society also helps to integrate the refugees.
So in the context of the current refugee crisis, do you consider that the third country nationals, the TCNs, that will receive refugee status within one of the member states will be entitled to make use of the same rights that constitute the basis of EU citizenship?
I think first, all EU member states have to show responsibility. Of course, there's a question mark why refugees can go from Italy and Greece directly to Germany without any control, without any checking and register them. I think this is a discussion we have now in Germany. To get a citizenship will be the next discussion, how we deal with that. First they are refugees, then we have to look if they're getting really asylum, and then maybe we try to integrate them. So that's a step after step. But I think we have now to first solve really the problem before we talk about other problems. Of course we're talking in Germany about a number of 1 million. So we have to see who will stay in Germany permanently, who have really the right to stay in Germany with all the benefits you get. but it means also the challenge to learn the language, at least German. We are talking a lot in Germany in the moment that there are a lot of good educated people, but there's still the barrier of the language, and there's a might be cultural problems, the way how we work in Germany, the acceptance of the education you went through. So is your PhD in Syria the same like in Germany? So we have to care about that. There are already programs, but I think the less discussion we should have now about citizenships and stuff like that. We have to now integrate them to help them with little things, to care about housing, how to integrate the children, the language, how, we really have to care about how we integrate the young ones, not to create a parallel society. This is what we have to talk about. And then the next step is, of course, and there you're fully right, how we integrate them in whole Europe. If they're getting passports from Germany and other countries, Sweden is also like under big pressure in the moment. So this is the future discussion we have to face.
The reason why I asked this question is because we actually had a debate in the office when we were talking about this issue. Because as far as I know, the third country nationals that receive a residence permit, a long-term residence permit, are going to be able to benefit from the right of free movement across the EU. So I think this is a problem that we should think about from now as well. But in this respect, because I brought up the Schengen area, I wanted to ask you, there are more and more voices that state that the Schengen area, one of the most important achievements of the EU, should not exist anymore. What do you believe to be the answer to this statement?
I think, especially for Romania, and this is where we are in the moment right now, and talking about Romania was fighting the last years really hard to get full access to Schengen. In the meanwhile, you have the free movement for people who find a job in Germany and elsewhere since the beginning of 2014. So I think the Schengen discussion for the most citizens went a little bit like a side discussion. I think to talk about Schengen and to have full access in Schengen is still something important. Now we see like bigger issues, but Schengen is still there, and the law is still there, and the treaty are still there. So only because we have like this short discussion now about the refugees, we have to look in the long term. And of course, Schengen and what is connected with it is very important. So in the moment, Bulgaria and Romania are connected in this Schengen process. So Romania luckily made some big progress. Bulgaria is a little bit behind. So that would mean like we accept Romania fully in Schengen means that we have to build up a border towards Bulgaria. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants that, and it's also the matter of a lot of money. But still, the Romanian government have to fight to fulfill all the details to have a full Schengen access. What I hear at the moment are like discussion of like having Schengen via airports. This will be like a first step. But when I look to the CVM report, still are not like as they should. And so I think there's a connection, and we have to, and the Romanian government has to fight for it really strong, and not like use now the moment that Schengen is not really an issue anymore.
In this respect, there are voices that started stating that Romania should take advantage cynically of this refugee crisis in order to become a member of the Schengen area. Do you think that is possible?
I think Romania should take an advantage of this refugee crisis and raising their hand and saying, okay, we will accept a quota, or we will take more than the numbers what I see now in the television and the media of 1,225 refugees in 2 years. I think this moment should be a good moment that Romania shows really that they are part of Europe and shows solidarity. It's not about Schengen in the moment, of course. It's not a problem to bring refugees to Romania. And I think it's a chance for Romania to help refugees and show really that they, in the last 25 years after the fall of the communist dictatorship, things changed. Of course, it's not easy for society. It's not easy for the German society, not for the Romanian as well. But I think it's a chance to develop. Besides the fact that I think the European Union will spend also a lot of money to the Romanian state to help and to give good housing, infrastructure, education programs. So I think it's really could be a chance for Romania to raise their hand and say, okay, we want to help, instead of pushing it away like other European countries are doing that and saying, due to the fact they are Muslims, we cannot take them. You have already a small number of Muslims in Romania. I think it's a chance to show that Romania really did a great step to fulfill European values. It's about European values. Sorry, I have to add that. It's about European values. Yes, it's to show how open you are for other people. You know, who thought that Europe is like the isle of the nice, spoiled and rich people? You know, that was never the case. This was never the case. And of course there was Africa all in the Near East. Yeah, even the 25 years, but now things change. And I think also Romania has to take the chance to show that they're really on the side of Germany and the others who deal with a large number of refugees, and to help them. Not to help Germany, it's about to help the refugees.
Yes, of course. In regards to this, of course, Romania has a population of about 75,000 Muslims, closer to the coast of the Black Sea, to our Ottoman inheritance, let's say. So probably that might seem to be an advantage in order to help us integrate the refugees that are going to be received by Romania, indeed. But since you said that the refugee crisis does not necessarily have to do with the future of Romania and Schengen, I wanted to ask you, since until now Romania was very eager to be a part of the Schengen area, and now it seems that we are, let's say, better off without it in this situation. What do you think will and should be the approach in the future in regards to the process of signing the Schengen Treaty, taking into account that nowadays the outsider status is considered an advantage by some? What do you think Romania should do from now on in order to become a part of the Schengen Treaty?
I think Romania has to walk on the way Romania is now on. Of course, there must be more efforts, there must be more politically done. You know, we're talking about technically ready for Schengen, but of course I see the discussions in Germany, it's not only about the technical thing. You know, the fight against corruption, how like the border management is done, that there are still some parts are missing, that is not transparent enough maybe for countries like Germany and others. You know, this is the discussion Romania has really to fight for. And of course the mistrust in Germany against this actual government, and not only in Germany, it's in France, because we are focusing so much on on Germany. No, it's not only us, let's say. It's the same as France, Scandinavian country, Benelux countries. So they have deep mistrust against this actual government, because what they see in the moment is something really shocking for them. There's a prime minister who is under investigation. They're unstable political situation in the moment. And this is not like the surrounding other countries are interested in having talks and having Romania full access to Schengen. Everybody knows that it's needed, but they need political science from the government, and what they're not getting in the moment is a political signal. Of course, your president touched this topic with Angela Merkel in his talk, which is very good, but it's not her alone. So I think to make more advertisement in the positive way for Romania, for the quality in politics here, this has to be done, and I think the first step can be done through the president. Is done already through all his visits in Europe, but of course, therefore, you need maybe a new government who really makes the people believe in Europe, the decision makers, that that really Romania deserves a full Schengen access.
Indeed, the role of our president is quite important nowadays, also because what we witnessed during the election was an increase in the participation. And it was a break from the tendency that we've seen previously in regards to participation to the Romanian elections of the Romanian population. However, in this respect, of course, as far as I understood, we need to focus rather on domestic politics and on transparency on our behalf in order to move towards signing the Schengen Treaty rather than on foreign issues. And of course, this was the path that we took also before adhering to NATO and also before becoming members of the EU. So probably the process is the same. The last question that I want to address, because at this debate we are talking about European citizens' rights abroad, is how do you think that the current crisis will affect the rights of EU citizens to work and travel freely across the EU? Because we know that some countries across the European Union started to introduce checks at the borders.
I think when you have when you are a Romanian and you want to work in Germany, this will not have will not be affected by the actual crisis, what we see in the actual discussions. We have to look on this very, very carefully. I think the impact, there might be one, but if you have a job as a Romanian in Spain, nothing has changed. It will, even when you are checked at the border, but you're a Romanian citizen, you're in the EU, you're part of the EU, so you can go there freely. Also, I think in the future now to work on these little things, to cut treaties and laws that are already very well functioning. For example, Germany has a big benefit out of the Romanian who are coming to Germany, starting from engineer going to a nurse. So the German economy is really benefiting for us. Luckily, unfortunately for Romania, not so good from the brain drain. So why we should stop that? And most of the EU countries know that it's good to have it. It's not only like Germany and Romania; it's also the same with other countries in Europe, with the exchange of the working force. So I think there will be no influencing thing, even when we see the refugee crisis at the moment.
So do you think there's not going to be any influence if we are Romanian citizens and we're not part of Schengen? Or do you think there's not going to be any influence at all? Because I was asking this question having in mind also the effect this crisis might have on an EU citizen that is a citizen in a country that is a part of the Schengen Treaty.
I think in both cases, the Schengen discussion will be like step back a little bit from my point of view in the moment, because first we have to solve the refugees crisis, but still the discussion regarding the Schengen access for Romania will be still there. It will be discussed. We will see changes in the next year after the elections here. So I think even when you are like still a European citizens and you want to travel or to work somewhere else, I think there will be no impact on that. Maybe a check at the border due to the fact that some countries will close the border, but at the end of the year and the next year, I think there will be new development, but I don't expect a big impact on the general thing of the free movement of EU citizens.
So you don't think that in general the refugee crisis is going to affect at all the core and the basis of what the European Union is?
What we see now in the moment is like, of course, we see an impact that borders are closed, but this is due to the fact that it's like an emergency procedure, and I hope that in the future we don't see general change, because this will also have a big impact on the core of the European Union.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.